Helima, I'm going to start with you. What do you think? Is this coming to America, as they say?
Well, I mean, Europe is going to be ground zero for this energy crisis. I mean, obviously, they are the main importers of Russian gas. The Russians have made it very, very clear they're going to continue to cut off gas supplies into Europe. We're going to have a 3-day outage on Nord Stream 1 starting on August 29th. But we can expect the Russians just to keep the pain up in order to try to force the Europeans to change their calculations about sanctions, about supporting Ukraine. So, yes, gas prices in the United States will also rise, but Europe is going to be really where the pain is going to exist with this war.
Okay, so Rebecca, in terms of your expectation, if we're looking at WTI, you can play WTI, you can play Brent. Price, call it, let's go out 2 months. Where do you think we are?
Yeah, so looking at WTI, I'd say 2 months we're probably closer to 105, but Brent at 110. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that we have several catalysts coming. As Helima mentioned, Russia likely continues to apply pressure to Europe and pressures, European gas supply, which will provide a tailwind to crude oil as many industries try to switch over from gas to crude. We also have the SPR rolling off in November, which has been a huge buffer to crude supplies in the U.S., and that's going to have a massive impact. And then we have increasing sanctions coming from European nations on crude oil, on insurance. So all three of those things, I think, really contribute to crude grinding higher. The market right now is much more focused on what's happening with demand and what's happening in China, and I do think those are relevant. However, I think the supply side of the equation over the next couple of months is going to overwhelm that, and China's kind of dwindling or slower recovery is going to fall to the back seat.
Before I go back to Helima, Rebecca, if we're at 105 here in the U.S. come October, where do you think prices at the pump go?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think prices at the pump at 105 are closer to like 430 to 450. And that's a place where it is painful for the U.S. consumer for sure, but I don't think it creates demand destruction and changes behaviors. It's kind of right at that threshold. So I think we're going to get back up to that 435, 450 on a national average. And I think that is unfortunately going to last throughout the course of the winter.